know, this whole thing started in 71. And then in about 73, we signed with Alan Walden's management group, who was the brother of Phil Walden of Capricorn Records. He had Leonard Skinner when they came up. He had the Outlaws out of Tampa, who we signed together at the same time with them and played a bunch of showcases with them. This was stuff that happened really after Marky left the band. And we had Paul Hornsby, producer at Capricorn Records. Wow, yeah. Paul, who had played with Greg and Dwayne in the early days and produced all those Marshall Tucker Band albums and things. He was really on our side. Took us in the studio at Muscle Shoals a couple of times, did a bunch of demos, and he really tried to get us signed, but we just never could get signed, for whatever reasons, and I know what some of them were. And it wasn't because we didn't have the tunes. We had the tunes, and I think we had the sound, but maybe we just didn't quite have our act together enough,
I think a lot of it was we weren't really a Southern rock band.
That's true.
We weren't like an almond. We weren't a boogie band. We weren't a.
That's true. We were existing in a Southern rock world, but we weren't a Southern rock.
We were more of a country rock thing, meaning like, what country rock meant in circa 1970s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was that kind of held us back, and we weren't the most dynamic stage performers that ever lived. We weren't
really.
We weren't leaping about or making a show. We were just kind of playing our stuff.
There were these time-lapse photos when we would open for the Atlanta Rhythm Section a few times, and everybody's sort of fuzzy a little bit, and I'm completely in focus. I'm just standing there.
Because you're not moving.
I'm not even breathing. I'm not.
You're no challenge for the camera.
Yeah. But we gave.
But it was supposed. They wanted some action shots, and it was like, somebody go pump his chest, make him breathe a little bit. So.
And we gave it a good run. I mean, we had a lot of things happening, but nothing just ever went all the way.
Right.
Just never got signed. And in those days, if you didn't get signed, well, you didn't make a record. Anybody can make a record now, but not then.
Right.
So
how did the band, in a nutshell, how did the band kind of dissipate? I mean, y'all went your separate ways. Everybody just graduate and move on, or what?
Virtually nobody graduated. He did.
I did.
Nobody.
Right
else
after I got out of the band.
Man after my own heart.
Yeah, it just kind of.
Well,
we had some member changes.
Yeah, member changes, and we've been doing it a while. And I think after a while, it was like, well, we're doing this thing. Things had not really changed musically by '75 very much, but I think we just it was at about 4 or 5 year band time that usually happens, and then bands sort of split up.
Yeah,
I think we were all sick of how much we knew each other by then.
The first person to bail was J.D. Harris, who was the lead singer, who wrote a lot of tunes. He left at about the 2 year mark, maybe just shy of the 2 year mark.
And went over to work with Buddy Bowie's place in Atlanta. He
went over to pursue being a songwriter.
Put out a real good 45 too.
Yeah.
And then Mark left the band and was replaced by Jim Liner.
Excellent.
I don't know if you ever knew Jim.
Met him, yeah.
Great bass player, and Jim's no longer with us also. And that was the next change. And then we added a keyboard guy who's on the record, who we met down in Panama City. He was from the Gulf Coast, and he moved up to Montevallo and joined us. His name is Dave Miller. And then we added Rick Bird on pedal steel guitar, who's also on the record. And at this point, we're like a 6-piece band. That's the biggest phase of the band we ever had. And then in '75, during the summer, Tom, the drummer, who had gotten married, decided he had to grow up and get a job, so he left. Don decided to leave then and go back to school. So the rest of us who were left, myself, Jim Liner, and Dave, and Rick Bird, we got another buddy of ours who had gone to school with us, Orville Kane, who has also passed away. We've lost a lot of people. Came in and started drumming with us. And we carried on another year, but the band was really different the last year. We were just much more of a cover band. And
real country, too.
And we moved in a real country direction.
I used to come here, and they just really, they tore it up. But it's classic.
Well, you always wanted to explore that. I remember you saying that all along.
Yeah. And we had to do it to work, because that was kind of the way things were going then. So it was It was 5 years total, and really 4 years though of what I really consider Dogwood. You know, and when Don and Tom left, it was just a different thing. And I didn't even want to use the name that last year, but people talked me into it. I wanted to call it something different. You know.
Right. You didn't want.
And after that, we got together for whatever we have.
Yeah.
A big crew of people we call
Reunions.
Montevallo Chill, that kind of thing. All not necessarily in the same class, but they all were people that were around at that period.
The alternative crowd.
You know, and every few years we'll get together for something.
Yeah.
People who got it.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we were at Montevallo at a really magic time. You know, that was when there was a real distinct line drawn between the hippies and everybody else.
I do remember.
And we were in the hippie crowd.
Yeah.
And so many people that went to school with us, even though we're talking about some people who graduated in 70 and other people who graduated in 76 or something, just remained
Like best friends.
good
Still.
friends. And
Still
so
are.
yeah, we continued all through the years after we officially broke up to play for, you know, different functions that people would put on, or sometimes just at a bar where when I was doing a gig, we'd get together whoever we could and play. And then over the last few years, we've played more than we've ever played since 1975. We've played several, you know, 3 or 4 times a year for the last
Some
couple
fundraisers
of
and
years.
stuff like
Benefits and some, you know, played at Daniel Day several times.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we just even though we broke up, we never called it totally quits.
Talk about the project. Talk about the getting back together
Talk
and
about
the
the
project.
Ooh.
Here's the project.
Well, it was your idea.
So what's your favorite tune on the project? You got one?
Mark, what's your favorite?
I'll tell you right now, Dakota Girl.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
My,
Dakota Girl.
my favorite songs are Dakota Girl and Sunrise Told Me,
Yeah.
which are the first 2 songs we recorded, and they're both songs Don wrote.
Now, did we cut those at Tony's house? We
Those-
started
yeah.
them at Tony's
Yeah.
and finished them at work.
Yeah. Really what happened was with the project is that as far back as 6 or 7 years ago, I called you and we talked a time or two about going into Tony Waxer's studio and just recording just a few songs. I wasn't thinking about making a record. I just wanted to, and so you know, we got to demo most of this stuff in studios back in the old days. Most
Right.
of these songs were cut in the studio, and we had some pretty good demos, but we never got to do it right, you know. So first, you know, like I said, 5 or 6, 7 years ago, we talked a little bit about doing a project recording, but we never followed up on it. And then about 2 years ago, we played a Sunday afternoon at Daniel and Melody's place, Daniel Day Gallery. And my younger brother, who was always part of our crowd, who roadied for us for quite a while and lived with us, he called me up and he said, "Look, you guys have got to do this." And he really got on my rear end about it, you know. So I got
Terry's
serious.
to blame, right?
Yes, Terry's to blame. I got serious about it, and it didn't take much, you know, talking. And so we just decided, why not?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, to kind of.
Well, I think it's amazingly good. So were you surprised by the quality of it, or are you kind of like,
No.
this is what I expect?
No, not at all. I knew we could make a really good record because we've got some really good songs.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you got to start with. Don's a great songwriter. You know, I can write one every now and then that's okay.
No,
He's-
he can write one every once in a while that makes him some money.
Well, that happened once. That's a different story. But because we had good songs, you know, there was no doubt we could make a good record. It's just getting in there and doing it. So when we started this project, I'm the date guy. I remember chronologically. That's my thing. He remembers more stuff than I do, but I can tell you when everything happened. We had the first recording session October 2016.
What year?
16. And we started off recording at Tony Waxer's home studio.
Yeah.
But Tony also runs the studio at Workplay.
Right.
Tony's place is great, but it's hard to get in and out of. So
Right.
we finally just moved it over to Workplay, and Tom Williams was great to us and kind of let us record, you know, on spec. You know, we'll pay you later,
Yeah.
and we did. So some people helped us out along the way, and it took us a while to make the record, about 6 months of recording, but we'd have long gaps in between sessions at times,
Right.
But, and we actually, there's 13 songs on the record, which is a lot. We recorded 2 more, but we ended up not using them.
The flow wasn't right.
Right.
Yeah, so it's even with cutting those two tunes, it's still a long record. You get your money's worth. $10.
I did. I felt complete when I listened to it.
Wow.
The Dakota, is there a Dakota girl? Or was that just
The
because
short
you like
answer,
the
the short answer is yes, but she doesn't live in Dakota.
phonics? You said the phonics of
She
Dakota.
lived in Calera, but it's easier to me to say.
Calera girl.
See, but if it was too close to home, I would put it in Alaska or I put it in Minnesota. It's
more exotic.
Montevallo Turnpike,
Hey, yeah.
which is
Yeah,
Highway
so-
25 through Wilton.
There you go.
If
That's
you
a
look
great
at the
quote.
song titles, I mean, there's definitely sort of a theme.
Can you read them and comment on each one? Or are y'all?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, just like shortly.
Okay, the first song is The Dogwood Slide, which is the first thing we ever kind of wrote as a group. Just
That's the
came,
one that has the word funky in it.
yeah, it's
Right,
just a
yeah.
riff song. He
Yeah.
started playing this funky guitar riff, and everybody
And our
started.
roadie Coop started dancing to it, and it was the silliest thing I'd ever seen. and our lyricist guy, J.D. Harris, started writing some crazy lyrics, and it ended up like it is.
It's a funny little.
I like it.
It's our opening song most of the time.
Yeah, and Don rewrote the lyrics for the record. We turned it into something a little bit
More of a
different.
story. He was doing little
Made a little
vignettes.
story out of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Dakota Girl second. Tell them about it.
It was, I used to go to Clear Armory a lot when I was too young to go in there, really,
Yeah.
and go hear bands and dance and stuff. And all my friends, especially my friends that were girls, were a couple of years older, so I was paying a lot of attention to them.
Yeah. No air conditioning there.
And no air conditioning.
Yeah,
It was
right
not a bad thing, though.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And I would hear the teenage human drama from the barely being a teenager kind of thing, and I would hear these stories about stuff, and some of them became friends and stuff. So I guess that was me rehashing it without actually having to get real specific about who I was talking about.
Yeah.
A couple of years later, it's like, I know this story.
And the third song is Athens Train. Once again, a place in the title.
But Athens, it was out of the state, so it was okay.
Yeah.
Don started writing that one. We were playing at the B&L warehouse in Athens, Georgia.
Train warehouse.
There's a train track that ran behind the building, and just it seems like on a break in between sets, it just started coming up with this idea
club.
for this song. Yeah, that was really one of our favorite places we used to play back then.
Big old wooden, the bar that went all the way.
I think the building, the structure's still there.
And
It is.
and in fact, a guy that had was talking about Athens, and I would be in the back room. I don't drink or anything. We played air hockey when it first came out, and we'd all have bruised fingers from holding the thing wrong. So I couldn't do that and play, so I would just sit around the back and read some science fiction on the breaks. Write graffiti in the dust on the windows, okay? So this is like, 30 years later, I played at the 40 Watt Club, okay? And 20 years later. And the guy said, "Oh, you used to play here." I was going, "Yeah, but not here, up the hill. At the B&L warehouse." "Where's your band?" "Dogwood." "Dogwood is still written on the windows on that." It's like they never clean that place, man. It's
20 years.
All the graffiti is still back there.
The fourth song is a prairie song, which Don wrote, and it's a straight up acoustic song. It's just him and I on the record. Him playing acoustic guitar, me singing a little harmony with him, and I played a solo on an instrument called a humanitone, the little whistling thing you hear on the record.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually this weird little plastic thing that fits over your nose and mouth, and you blow through your nose and shake.
Nose flute.
Yeah, it's a nose flute. That's exactly
Well, a
what
nose
it is.
flute actually it's a little bit different than a nose
well,
flute.
It's like a.
We call it a snoot flute,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But yeah,
it's
you
actually
could call
called
it
a
that.
humanitone.
Okay.
And I've still got
That's the only
one I
person-
played on the record.
Okay,
is
right. I'll
this-
follow that right beside the Knock Arena.
The one I played on this record is the same one I played on the demo in 1974. Just a little piece of plastic this big that I've somehow managed
He had to have it
to hold on
recalibrated,
to.
though.
The next song is, once again, a place song. It's called Georgia Bar, and it's one that I wrote. It's probably the most commercial country rock song on the album. And it's,
Was it about playing at the B&L?
well, I wrote it. I started writing it when we were playing the B&O Warehouse.
We
and
played there a lot.
It's our road song. You know, woe is me, I'm on the road, and I'm not home with my girlfriend. You know.
That song.
Yeah. So yeah, it's that one. The next song is another place song called "Back in Juneau," which is one of Don's.
Back in Clanton.
Yeah.
We had a river house at the river down there. It was easier to write and make
The first
it better in
line.
Alaska.
The first line is, "We argued at the river camp," and it's
True story.
so he would.
It actually happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the stuff actually happened.
Tell him about home. Don wrote it, but tell him about
You
it.
tell it.
Home. It's probably the most grooving song for me. You know, I love playing bass
Kind of
on that
it's
thing.
almost a blues shuffle.
Yeah, it's like a
Kind of
little
a
bit of
blues
shuffle. There's a lot of good walking bass and stuff like that. I love
Yeah.
playing that. I've always it's kind of it's developed over the years. When I was first in the band, we didn't have the bridge.
Don wrote a bridge
I
after the
dreamed.
band broke
I
up.
dreamed. It's like 10 years later. I dreamed the bridge. Music, everything. Woke up and it was like, oh, and got the boombox out, and I better put this down while I remember it, and plugged in perfect.
So it's if you go back and listen to our old demos, this is the most different one because it's got a whole section added that wasn't there originally. You know?
We get together, and I remember one time we first got together, we were going to do home, and I started playing, and all of a sudden they went to this different spot. I didn't know, they probably didn't know I didn't play on the new one. Yeah. What do I do?
So yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
The next song is one of Don's called "Sunrise Told Me," which is my favorite, along with "Dakota Girl," which is the most rocking song
For sure.
on the record. It's the one that's got the bluesy harp
Harp in there, right.
in it, which is Dave, our keyboard guy.
Okay.
He plays harp too, and it's a song that to me that's kind of to me it sounds like the Jefferson Airplane mixed with the Yardbirds, kind of, you know. It's-
Well, but they were influential for me. You know.
and it really rocks. We both got to really cut loose on guitar on that one, and it's really fun to play live.
And it's
loud.
It's got a real tricky little ending. That's you're riding down the road at 100 miles an hour, then do this lick and it stops. You know,
Yeah, it's got one of the most unique ends that you could ever tag onto.
and we
a
get it
song.
more often than not. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next song is "Highway Sign," which is one that was group written. J.D. Harris, the original singer guy, had pretty much written this set of lyrics. This is the way I remember it anyway, and we just kind of all contributed to putting music.
Sometimes I lived at my grandparents' house at the time. I was living down in their basement, going to college, and every once in a while I'd get a phone call over there. We got something. Come on out.
Yeah.
So I'd get out there and it sounds pretty good, guys.
So that
Put a G right here.
and it's it's a kind of a
He's
straight up.
British man.
Yeah.
It's a straight up rocker. It's got a little bit, I wouldn't say it sounds like the Stones, but it's got a little bit of a Stones kind of groove to it. As a matter of fact, I added some G-tune guitar to it that we had never used before on the record.
love it. I love
Makes
that.
it, gives it a little more than
Keith Richards, yeah.
Stones kind of.
Did you play that on
edge to
a
it.
baritone? Did you
Pull
use
a
a
string
baritone
off
on
that?
that?
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
And then the next song is one of the two straight up acoustic songs, "Minnesota Turnpike," another place song, which Don wrote real early on.
I wrote that, I think, before.
He had already written that when we started the
I didn't
band.
realize it was so geographically based until you started reading.
That's my favorite.
Oh,
Well,
it
there's
really
some
is.
a bunch
like
more.
a tour.
you
It's
know.
like a tour.
And on the record, it's just Don playing acoustic guitar and singing, and I sing harmony on like 2 lines, and so it's real stripped down. The next song is one of Don's called "It Was Easy," and it's really a country rock song, very country groove. It's got a little halftime thing that goes to the bridge, and then it goes back to, and it's a really fun one. I got to sing a lot of really fun backup vocals on that one. Did all the backup stuff, and it was really fun.
And I
Good
didn't
verb
use the
there,
girl's
so-
real name in it. I used her middle name. So
And that one really features, that one, along with several others, really featured Rick Bird on the pedal steel
Yeah.
guitar.
Yeah, he really
He's a
is.
great musician. Rick's a great player. And then the last 2 songs are the only ones that are not from the old days. This next to the last one, "Spring Creek Road," Don wrote some years ago.
mid-90s, when I moved to Spring Creek, it was like I was sort of convincing myself it was okay to move back towards the country. You know, just in case.
We started
I was
to-
trying to convince myself it wasn't going to
A little
go.
self-talk, yeah.
It's a Montevallo street.
We started doing that one on stage without ever having even heard it. One night we were playing a gig
Three
a few
chords.
years ago, and he said G, E minor, C, and D over and over and over again.
not a
Just-
D in it.
Yeah,
It's just
well,
G.
that's right. It's just the three chords.
I thought it was sounding funny last
Yeah,
time.
yeah. So we just started playing it, and it made its way onto the record. And it's one of my favorites. I like it a lot. And then this last song, The Dogwood Ride, the first song's The Dogwood Slide. This is one that I wrote specifically for the record, and it's my take on the history of it's
It
sort of
broke
about
you-
the band, and it's sort of about the living in the house experience, you know.
Yeah.
It's and I played everything on it. Nobody else is on it but me. Played some bass and played some acoustic guitar and some electric guitar. Yeah, it was me having fun.
Well, he had this great new acoustic guitar, and he just started playing bass.
Yeah,
So it's like, oh.
that's it.
But I think it broke your dry spell too. How long between songs between that one and the one you'd written previous?
It had been at least 25 years since I had written a song from beginning to end. Because I never did write much. It was hard for me. I don't really have that songwriter's thing. Every now and then I could spin out something okay, but
You
that's
really got to play music just because you get women. Right?
oh totally.
Like everyone.
That quit working about 25 years ago.
Then you discover what kind of musician you really were.
But I'm proud of the song because it really, I think it tells the story of the living in the house and the band.
Yeah, it's a
pretty
cool
good.
song.
When I wrote it, I literally came up with the idea and the melody, and I sat down and started just jotting stuff down from the past.
There you go.
And just started trying to work some of it into
Yeah.
the song. Don gave me a suggestion or two, and I think I took
Threw
one
them out
of
the
them.
window.
No, I took one of them. I used one of them. And so
It's an idea.
that's the 13 songs of the Dogwood album.